So, back in the 13th and 14th centuries, the Mongols were like the rulers of the world. Seriously, picture this. From China's coastline all the way up along the Himalayas, through the Middle East, touching Persia and reaching as far as the Black Sea. They even had a piece of south-central Russia and Ukraine, and they got pretty close to Europe, almost knocking on Vienna's door. And how did they do it? Well, mostly on foot, with wagons, but most famously on horseback. Imagine huge armies like seriously massive, some with over 100,000 soldiers. Now get this, it wasn't just their numbers that made them terrifying. Nope, it was the whole vibe of spreading terror wherever they went. And it all started with this dude called Genghis Khan, aka Temujin. You've probably heard of him, right? He's like a legend, still a big deal in Mongolia today. Anyway, Khan basically means big boss, and Genghis is like universal ruler, which is pretty fitting considering the size of their empire. But before Genghis became the top dog, Mongol society was already pretty intense. They were known for their brutal ways, kind of like the Vikings, but on the other side of the world. Family feuds were a big deal, especially when it came to power struggles. Genghis, or should I say Temujin, his real name, had a pretty rough start too. He offed his half-brother when he was just 14 over a stolen fish. Can you believe that? And that was just the beginning of his ironclad rise to power. Unlike Stalin, who came along much later, Genghis was all about that DIY approach, you know? He even did some archery, taking out his brother with one of those famous Mongol bows. Crazy, right? If you're into more wild history like this, make sure that you hit that subscribe button for more. History's wild, man. In another version of the story, it's said that Beitar, the oldest brother, started bossing people around, and that didn't sit well with Temujin and his younger brother Khasar. Whether there was food involved or not, that's up for debate. But in this version, Temujin saw Beitar's greed as an opportunity to take control of the clan himself. Surprisingly, when Beitar's mother found out about his death, she scolded him like any other misbehaving child. Life was tough during the time of Genghis Khan, who lived from around 1162 to 1215 AD. Genghis didn't become the boss of all Mongols until he was about 44, but at just 20, he was already a rising military leader, leading his own clan army. One of his first moves with that army was seeking revenge for his father's murder, and there is a lot more murder where that came from in Genghis Khan's life. Temujin's father was killed by a group of Tatars who had a long history of conflict with the Mongols. Years later, Temujin cornered the main Tatar army, taking thousands of prisoners as punishment for his father's murder. Genghis wasn't one to mess with. He ordered the slaughter of all people over a certain age, marking their height on a wheel to illustrate his orders. Believe it or not, there used to be pyramids in China. Not the kind you're thinking of, but pyramids of human skulls, built as a warning to anyone who dared to oppose the Mongols. Approaching an enemy city, the Mongols would send a message: surrender and you might survive. Resist and face total annihilation. During Genghis Khan's relatively short reign, it's estimated that between 5 and 10% of the world's population met their end due to his campaigns. Imagine the Mongols traveling on horseback, wielding swords and bows, engaging in face-to-face slaughter. It's a brutal picture. And speaking of brutality, consider the female Black Widow spider who consumes her mate after mating. In a similar vein, the daughters of Genghis Khan played a role of Black Widows to those they were married off to. Marriage among the ruling Mongols and their allies mirrored medieval Europe in many ways. Daughters were essentially bargaining chips used to solidify alliances or end conflicts, but marrying into Genghis's family brought power and prestige, albeit temporarily. Upon marriage, tribal rulers had to forsake their other wives, ensuring Genghis's bloodline remained unchallenged. The groom in turn often found himself leading troops into battle where death was almost certain. In this way, with each daughter's marriage and subsequent widowhood, Genghis's empire expanded, and it was clear whose orders were being followed. Take for instance, the Kwarazmian people, who once thrived in an area north of Iran. Their advanced civilization, evident in their architecture and mathematics, was no match for the unstoppable force that was Genghis Khan. When Genghis Khan's armies approached the capital of Khwarazm, he initially sought peace and sent diplomats to negotiate. However, the Khwarazm made a grave mistake by beheading the Mongol diplomats out of fear. This angered Genghis Khan, who then unleashed his wrath upon them. he led a massive army of 200,000 men to exact vengeance, wiping out the Kwarazmian people and erasing all traces of their existence. Even their bones were ground into dust, and a river was diverted to cover up any remaining evidence. Dealing with a great Khan was a perilous endeavor, as those who made bad decisions often met a grim fate. Another group that learned this lesson the hard way was the Shashia people, who lived near the borders of Khorasan. When they disobeyed Genghis Khan's orders, he sent an army to annihilate them. Every single member of the Shashia was killed, and their language and culture was nearly wiped out. Stories of the Shashia only survived in the oral histories of surrounding peoples, and their language remained extinct for several hundred years. Interestingly, during a battle with the Shashia, Genghis Khan was thrown from his horse and died from his injuries in 1215. His burial remains a mystery, as legend suggests he was buried with immense treasure to deter grave robbers. However, historians believe he was laid to rest in a traditional Mongol grave to ensure his final resting place remained undisturbed. According to Mongol belief, the Khan of Khans will one day rise again, leading them to greatness if his grave remains untouched. These ruthless and grisly tales from the life of Genghis Khan serve as chilling reminders of the power and brutality of one of history's most formidable conquerors. We hope you found these stories from the life of Genghis Khan both fascinating and chilling. They offer a glimpse into the brutal realities of conquest and power during that tumultuous era. Genghis Khan's legacy is one of both awe and fear. His military campaigns reshaped the map of the world and left a trail of destruction in its wake. Yet, his strategic brilliance and unparalleled leadership also laid the foundation for one of the largest empires in history. However, it's essential to remember that behind the tales of conquest and dominance lies the human cost of Genghis Khan's actions. Entire civilizations were wiped out, languages lost, and cultures erased in the relentless pursuit of power. As we reflect on these stories, we're reminded of the complexity of history and the enduring impact of one man's ambition. Genghis Khan's life is a testament to the enduring fascination with figures who straddle the line between heroism and villainy, leaving a legacy that continues to captivate and haunt us to this day. If you enjoyed learning about Genghis Khan and his conquests, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more riveting historical content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of one of history's most enigmatic figures. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the stories that shape our world.